Thinking about launching a podcast but overwhelmed by all the moving parts? At Turnkey Podcast Productions, we take the hassle out of podcasting so you can focus on the talk, not the tech. From concept to launch, guest booking to post-production, we handle everything. Need a strategy to grow your show and turn guests into clients? Yep, we do that too. DIY or done for you, we've got the solution that fits. Whether you're just getting started or ready to scale, Turnkey is your behind-the-scenes podcast team. Turnkey Podcast Productions. Your voice, your message, fully produced. Learn more at turnkeypodcast.com/contact. That's turnkeypodcast.com/contact.
Hey, don't turn it off yet. Here's what's coming up on the Nice Guys on Business.
But so that's exactly the point, is that that's what I've been taught to do, is show up and just tell you all the things that I can do. We can teach the skill set of how to actively listen, how to pay attention to what that person is saying, how to use what they're saying and turn it into another question and allow them to lead the conversation, which in turn builds trust and rapport, period.
Right.
People trust people that listen to them, not that tell them things, right? So if I can do that up front, and I can change that single behavior of how I show up to somebody to get them to the conversation and how I change that first conversation, it changes the trajectory of the rest of the sales cycle and really creates less friction, creates less obstacles, and allows you to close more deals.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. And the Nice Guys on Business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
Okay, Nice Guy community. Today's guest is all about helping businesses get just 1% better every day and turning that into massive growth. Our guest, Marc Nudelberg, he is a former NCAA Division I football coach turned TEDx speaker, author, and award-winning sales and leadership coach. You know I love my sales and leadership coaches. Now on the ball, a family-owned agency with 25 plus years of driving results. From banks to nonprofits to furniture companies, Marc's playbook is simple. Discipline, teamwork, modern strategies that help individuals and organizations close more deals and lead at a higher level. Get ready to level up your sales game 1% at a time. Marc, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Doug, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and honor to be with a sales legend.
I don't know about the legend. Maybe it's in the family, but I'll tell you at the same time, I love talking sales because, you know, nowadays, especially with this online world that many of us live in and in coaching, money is like a 4-letter word. And I don't understand that. Why does it have to be such a difficult thing to talk about? But the way that I look at it, maybe I can just get your first reactions here. Nothing happens until we sell something, right? I mean, just tell me your thoughts.
Well, you surely don't have a business until you sell something, right? Like my dad is famous for saying, like, it's not a business, it's a hobby unless you sell something, right? Like, so, and it's interesting because my dad and I go back on this all the time because I spent 14 years as a college football coach. And he loves to say, like, well, you didn't start your sales career until you were 32. That's true, right? I didn't sell anything. I didn't create a transaction, right? But the art of selling is actually the art of getting somebody else to take an action, getting them to move, getting them to actually transact is difficult, right? But getting anybody to do anything is difficult. So I think we have such a distinct opinion of salespeople because of what's been put out there for us, right? And I think there's lots of sales trainers in today's world that don't do anything to actually help that.
Right.
The Andy Elliott's of the world, the Grant Cardones of the world, who preach close, who preach 10x more deals, you know, and like who push and live that sales bravado. They don't actually help salespeople when it comes to branding because most people don't want to associate with that. They don't want to be coerced. They don't want to be persuaded.
Right.
And so I understood as a college football coach, the only way I could be successful was if I got the guys to do what I needed them to do. That's selling. They weren't transacting. Right. I didn't need them to buy something, but I needed them to do what I wanted them to do. And so figuring out the good qualities of sales, relationship development, trust, uncovering need and desire, and then matching what you want them to do with that, assuming that it's a right fit. That's what great sales is, and you should love it if you know that that's what it is.
Yeah, I've had a chance to interview some really, really cool people on the show. And you just mentioned one of them, Grant Cardone, just a few weeks ago. We had him on the show, and that episode has already aired. And Gary Vee, way, way back in the very beginning of the Nice Guys. I think, and I love those guys, they're great because they help build the show's quote unquote ego. But
Sure.
I think that oftentimes Gary and Grant may forget what it was like in the very beginning, where I know they're relationship people and I know it's so innate with them that it's important. My dad used to say something like, and I'm going to screw up the quote here, but it was something like, sales is a Broadway play put on by a psychologist. I mean, we have to think about like every angle from body language to soft selling skills to the relationship build to the rapport to all of the things that aren't really related to the sales. It's not a features and benefits call at all. It's very much related to, how close can you get to this prospect without them feeling crowded, and how do you communicate with them effectively so that they're actually opened up enough so that they can see what you're trying to do, and it's not just trying to dig into their pocket to get money. I mean, ultimately it is about a transaction, but it's got to be about the relationship build too. So you struck upon those chords just a moment ago. Talk about the importance of the relationship build as it relates to being able to actually build a transaction.
It's everything. I mean, so for us as a company, right, like three core pillars of ours are relationship, process, and discipline. Because we don't think that anything happens without a relationship. I can look back on my entire life. Every college football job I got was because of a relationship I had,
Right.
not because of how good of a coach I was, not because of the statistics my special teams had put up, not because of kids I had recruited in the past, not because of anything I had actually done, other than the quality of the relationships that I had created with other people that brought those opportunities at other schools and other places for me. And it's the same thing in business. If you look at who your best customers are, they're the people that you have strongest relationships with. If you look at who your best referral channels are, it's the people that you have the strongest relationships with. If
Right.
you look at who operates the best in your team, it's the people that you feel closest to and that you have the strongest bond with. And so I think particularly like in leadership, we confuse relationship with like being best friends or being family. And that's not actually what high performance teams are based on. They're based on a relationship, but they're based on a relationship with two simple components, right? Respect and trust. Nothing else. I don't actually have to like you. We don't actually have to agree politically or what kind of food is
Right.
best for anything else.
Right.
I need to trust that you're going to do your job, and I need to respect you as an individual that I won't infringe upon you. And if you take that approach to sales, it would be great if everybody liked me, but that's not a reality, right?
Right.
And so I don't need you to like me enough to be my best friend, but I need you to like me enough to trust and respect me. And if you can like me enough to trust and respect me, then you're going to allow me to have more in-depth conversations with you, which should lead me to uncovering a problem for you. And if I'm fortunate enough that the problem you need solved is actually the problem our business solves, great. And if it's not, if I can still solve that problem for you by introducing you to somebody or sharing information with you, I've created value with you. And if as a salesperson, I spend all of my time figuring out how I solve problems, either through an introduction, through information I have, or through the service our business offers, you're going to be wildly successful.
Love it. Great information. I think about how challenging it is as a sales and leadership coach to sell sales and leadership coaching, because everybody that's looking at you, it's not like you're selling engineering services and you just happen to stumble into the sale. If you're not a fucking amazing salesperson and leadership guy from the very get-go, people are going to look at you and like, well, if that's how he is with his own company, how is he going to train us how to do anything? Do you feel like you're always under the microscope as a sales and leadership expert?
Always, right? I feel like, and it's important that when we hire people inside of our organization, they understand like this is a non-negotiable. You have to represent the brand, because as soon as you don't, you then hurt your ability to be successful in the marketplace, because nobody's going to go, oh, well, we should hire them as a leadership development coach because look at that's a terrible leader. Why would we hire them to do that? So I think it's for me particularly, I've always have thought as a coach, even as a college football coach, you gotta live what you teach,
Right.
right? You can't
Right.
just preach it.
Right.
You gotta actually live it and do it every day, which is so interesting to me because like you look at like athletics coaches, you see like out of shape fat guys like all the time,
Like,
right?
how did he
And you're
get
like,
there?
how do you
Right.
look yourself in the mirror and go, I'm going to lead supreme athletes into competition, yet I'm not living the same discipline and consistency that I'm asking them
It's
to live,
not unusual though. You just turn on any NFL game or, NCAA game and you
which is
see
what
that
got me out.
guy.
Which is
Right.
what got me out of that industry, realizing like everybody that I was working with, or a lot of people that I was working with, were not actually drinking their own Kool-Aid, right? They were asking other people to. So for us, it's a huge component for us that we live what we teach, right? And so whether it be relationship development, particularly for our sales process, because we are focused on the top of the funnel, right? Your dad created an unbelievable system to move people to transaction.
Right.
We think that that's great, but most people don't spend enough time teaching people how to get into the conversation
Right.
to actually move towards a transaction. So we've built a very disciplined, very simple process that guarantees that you drive more conversations, which create opportunities. But we also leverage modern tools in that. We feel like LinkedIn is a major component of that. We feel like video and virtual meetings like Zoom are a huge component of that. So part of our assessment of an organization is they have to be willing to change,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so the hiccup for them is like, ooh, we're going to change. We're going to move to this new process or we're going to incorporate these new tools. Why would it work? And then I get to look them in the face and go, that's how I got you here.
Well, it's
You're
interesting.
sitting in the seat right now in the exact same process we're going to teach to your
Well,
people.
and again, it is a matter of, it's kind of meta. A sales trainer or someone that is teaching selling and leadership that is not good at the top of the funnel and building a relationship is not really, in my opinion, and just like in yours, is not worth your weight in anything. Because
Right.
if you can't develop a relationship, the all of sales begins with a relationship, and without that relationship, it breaks down. This is never, unless you're just low price gets it, and I'm just talking about the features of your products. Then that's the only thing. That's the only time that's going to work is when it's bid only.
So you know this, right? You know that it starts with relationship. And if it starts with relationship, what are relationships based on? Relationships are based on either shared experience or shared interest. Period. End of story, right? There's got to be a commonality there.
Yeah.
And so everything we teach in sales is to show up with product, price, and service. Here's what I think I know about you. Here's the problems you probably have because of what I think I know about you. And here's how we solve it for lots of people just like you. You don't know anything about me. So if instead of showing up that way, you just chose to show up with a shared experience or a shared interest and said, if you're willing to spend 15 minutes with me, I'd love to figure out what else we have in common and
Right.
how I might be able to help you. You'll have unbelievably more conversations. You'll develop unbelievably more relationships, and then you will but in natural turn, become significantly more successful.
So how do you get people to understand that? Because when you're in such a transaction based world and the relationships have come second for many of these organizations, they're like, hey, we just need more touch points. We just need to put out more marketing. We just need to have more people at the top of the funnel. And that the top of the funnel for most organizations is not the relationship. It's the PDF. It's the white paper. It's the whatever. It's not the relationship build. How do you teach that so that people will listen? Is it just a matter of, well, you share that with me. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? Part of it is ensuring that who we're talking to knows that that's the fundamental. Because more than likely, if we're dealing with sales leadership, they've been successful in their career and they know that
Right.
relationship
Right.
is the key to the sale. The problem with pretty much every organization that exists is they don't know how to teach relationship development as a process,
Right.
right? And the only thing that's ever been given to them are the Sandler sales training models or the Challenger sales training models, which just say build rapport and build trust, but they don't say how. They
Right.
don't tell you how to
Right.
do that. Right. And so we built a very specific process that teaches people how to identify who I need to be talking to, how to find something relevant, how to show up to them differently using different tools and modern tools, and stay consistent and disciplined in that cycle, which creates the opportunity for relationship up front. Now, the thing that everybody wants to do is great. I followed the process. I got somebody to get into a conversation with me. Now I'm in the conversation. Now I want to show up and throw up. Now I want to,
As my
right?
dad used to say, call it puke product.
I just heard the other day value vomit.
Oh God, that's great.
Somebody told my dad value vomit. So like
Right.
they're the greatest slogans,
Right.
right?
Right.
But so that's exactly the point, is that that's what I've been taught to do, is show up and just tell you all the things that I can do. We can teach the skill set of how to actively listen, how to pay attention to what that person is saying, how to use what they're saying and turn it into another question, and allow them to lead the conversation, which in turn builds trust and rapport,
Right.
period.
Right.
People trust people that listen to them, not that tell them things, right? So if I can do that up front, and I can change that single behavior of how I show up to somebody to get them to the conversation and how I change that first conversation, it changes the trajectory of the rest of the sales cycle and really creates less friction, creates less obstacles, and allows you to close more deals.
Let's talk for a second about how technology has interfaced directly with this rapport or relationship build. You know, you mentioned something a little bit earlier. I'd love maybe to use that as the example. We have so many people that are in our audience that are entrepreneurs and trying to find where their next best lead is coming from, and they're using an outlet like LinkedIn. So,
Yep.
are you talking about going in, throwing a DM that might be more of a relationship build rather than, hey, I have this product or service, I think you'd be interested. So, talk about maybe that as one of the just the cornerstones of the outreach.
Well, so we're all comfortable with the networking event, right? We've all been to the chamber
I
where
don't
there's
know
all
about
these
about
people,
comfortable. I think
right?
it's like the necessary evil in the new entrepreneur game. So
I'm
that
so glad that you said it that way, right? So like you go into the convention center, there's all these people there. That's exactly what LinkedIn is, except all these people are walking around with giant iPads or TVs on their head that tell you where they went to school, that tell you all the organizations they've worked at, all the cities they've lived in, all the nonprofits that they've worked for,
right.
everybody that they follow, everything that they comment on, everything that they engage on. It's giving you all this information. Yet all of us are stuck in this old show up and throw up model where we're
Mhm.
just going to mass message as many people as we can what we think the problems we can solve for them, instead of taking the 30 seconds it takes for me to
Right.
go,
Right.
hey, Doug, your dad is a sales legend. My dad is a sales legend in South Florida. I'd love to talk about what it was like growing up underneath sales guys.
Yeah.
You take that call 100 out of 100 times,
Absolutely.
then I might say to you, hey, this was really great. I'd love to hear more about your business
You,
and what you guys have going on. And maybe there's ways I can help. Boom.
Do
We're
you know
saying
why?
yes, yes, yes.
Here's why I think people don't do that. And again, I'm happy to take pushback from you if you want. It's not a system where I can literally copy and paste into DMs, and it's not smile and dial so I can get through 100 of them. You actually have to spend 60 seconds to go. You know, I could do a first connection search of everybody that's in sales or sales management, and I could say, "Hey, I'm Dougie from the tapes. You know, I'm Dave Sandler's son. Hey, do you have 15 minutes that you and I can just talk about selling for just a second?" And that probably I could probably cut and paste, but you have to find that it's not just about the copy and paste. It really is about how do I actually make the connection individually with that person to make it make sense.
It's really, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Seth Godin. I follow his newsletters.
Yeah.
He just recently put one out about hustle culture, right? And how the hustle culture is a race to the bottom and a
Yeah.
race to zero, and it puts pressure on
Yeah.
all of us to cut corners and do it faster and do it more. And we are big proponents in our sales training of saying more is not better,
Right.
right? The more cold calls, more cold emails, more scripts, more is not better. Better is better, right? So what does better look like in today's sales world? It's personalization. It's taking that time to find that one thing, and it's having the discipline to go, you know what? if I can't find a connection point with this person, the likelihood of them actually buying from me is so low that it's not even worth my time and effort to try to get to them
Agreed.
because there's legitimately 100 million other people that fit the exact same ideal client profile that I can take the opportunity to find something with, and I have an insignificantly higher chance of doing business with them. So if we just made it about that instead, but we've all been told scarcity mindset, there's not enough people. This is the list. These are the people we have to go get. And it's just not the truth. The world is so big. It's so easy to get face to face with people now because of embedded video and because of virtual Zooms and virtual meetings. Why would you waste your time on old tactics and old strategy? You have to modernize, and that is part of our selling proposition. That is part of us, and particularly for solopreneurs or small business owners, that you have to be a part of driving revenue. Plus, you have all of the other things. You don't have
Oh
time to
yeah.
do 150 calls a day.
Right.
Why
Right.
would you even want to?
No, I
Right?
agree.
Do a more efficient and effective process that you know is going to yield you better results, going to yield you more relationships, which will significantly change your business. So that's really that's how we look at it.
So, Nice Guy Community, before I jumped on the call in this interview with Mark, I said to him, "Hey, what would be a win?" Or I asked him, "What would be a win on the tail end of this interview for my audience, for you, Nice Guy Community, to do something?" And one of the things he said was, "Well, we have a couple of options. Connect with me on LinkedIn or head over and check out our newsletter." Now, knowing you, Nice Guy Community, you don't like to engage too thoroughly here. I know you're a little afraid of being sold something. Don't be afraid of this particular situation. Here's a really, really pain risk-free environment for you to go to. Mark can fill in some of the details here. It
I
sounds
will.
like so go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Yes, I'll tell you. Like I'm a huge fan of our newsletter. I read our newsletter every single Sunday.
So good. So let's hit them with the newsletter then. That's a good.
My brother does a great job with it. So if you go to www.ontheball.co, not com.co, it'll immediately hit you with the opportunity to sign up for our newsletter. You drop your email in there every single Sunday. You are going to get teaching tips from our weekly huddles that we run with our community, from our coaching calls that we run, from all the organizational trainings that we're doing. We are clipping those. We are putting them into bite-sized consumable content for you. So it's not a heavy read. It's not a heavy lift. And you're going to get that every single Sunday.
Why not on the ball podcast? Where is that? Is that happened yet?
So we do have a podcast
Oh,
called The
nice,
Daily Edge.
nice.
Daily
Okay.
Edge. The Daily Edge has its own channel on YouTube, and that we use as a family for fun family performance conversations. And we bring in entrepreneurs. We just recently had Eric Malka on the show. Eric is a successful entrepreneur who built the art of shaving and sold it to Gillette. Immigrant to exit, unbelievable story. So that's another great place to
I
find.
would like to raise my hand very, very gingerly. I would like to be a guest on that podcast.
Yeah,
Somehow,
absolutely.
can we make that happen? It's not a pre-qualifier for you to get this episode aired. I would just love to be a guest on that show.
If you can get to South Florida, if you can get to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, you do face to
Oh
face
yeah, we're in
only.
the studio. Fun conversation.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And how often does that come out?
Weekly, every Monday.
Very cool. And how long have you been doing the show?
So it actually changed. We've been doing it for years. It started as a daily live stream that we
Right.
were going live across Facebook and LinkedIn, and we did that for over 1,000 episodes. So we had like 3 years running of doing it 5 days a week,
Way to
and
go.
then we bought a new office space. We built a podcast studio inside of it, and we said, "Hey, we're going to take that show. We're going to move it to a more highly produced, short form content, split up out of one episode." And so we
Yeah.
started that in January this
Love
year.
it. That is perfect. As a podcast producer, I love to hear innovative ways that you're using podcasting to benefit your business. That's very cool. What am I missing? What should I be asking you, not only as a sales and leadership expert, but just as an entrepreneur that has an entrepreneurial audience listening to their message right now? Anything that you want to share with them?
Simplicity is king, right? So like we are firm. We everything we do, we try to be efficient and effective. And we know that the key to being efficient and effective is to being simple, and simple allows you to be organized. So like as a small business owner or as a solopreneur, there are a zillion things you have to do.
Yeah.
There are a zillion things that are on your mind that are weighing on you. The key is simplicity, right? Prioritize 5 things. Warren Buffett is famous for his 5-25 rule. So write down all the things, circle the 5 that are the most important, most pressing, focus on those, build your calendar so that you're focused on those things, and keep it as simple and efficient and effective as possible. And there's no doubt that you will have success.
Excellent message and great inspiration to do that. For those in our Nice Guy community, take a moment, head over to Marc's website, again, ontheball.co, correct?
Bingo.
All right, check it out. I'm sure you have access to the newsletter directly from the website. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, so sign up for that. And Marc, thank you so much for sharing. Love talking the sales game with you, and hopefully we will actually be able to get down to Fort Lauderdale to record that.
Open invite.
Open invite. I love it. Okay, cool. Marc, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of a good sales closing or transaction or leadership expert like Marc. All of his information, including access to his website, right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the Nice Guys. 5 episodes a week. Isn't that like some kind of a war crime? Why don't you just waterboard these poor people?